Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. Roy Smalley, the former Twin star, is not with us today. It's the lineup today is Star Tribune baseball guru and columnist LaVelle E. Neal III, myself, Jim Souhan, also from the Star Tribune and from TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
That first sip of coffee. Is there anything better? Yup. Coffee made with amazing water from Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy worry-free water throughout your home for less than buying that daily cup of joe. Imagine spotless dishes, softer laundry, and drinking water you can trust. Plus, up to 25% off a new Connecticut system. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Chin Music is also presented by Giggly THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt. We'll tell you more about them and our other sponsors later. Check out TalkNorth.com. We've added Mark Rosen. We have Randy Shaver's football show coming back. We're going to add a fantasy football show. We have Don Mitchell's show, Russo, Krasinski. The lineup goes on and on. We have the best people in town. Please check it out. When you find a show you like, subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. Let's get to the Red Hot Twins. Yes, they lost on Wednesday afternoon, but still 14 out of 16 is pretty stunning for a team with their injury problems. LaVelle, take me into the Cody Clemens MVP race.
Well, I don't know if he's ready to be the real MVP or he may be the MVP of this 13-game winning streak that the Twins just embarked on, because he came through with some major hits during that streak there, a couple big home runs. The thing that jumps out at me is that his bat speed and exit velocity when he makes contact is pretty impressive. So if he puts the right swing on the right pitch, the ball can go a long way. He can play the infield. He can play the outfield. He had an interesting outfield experience in Baltimore where he misplayed a ball that carried off the wall and got past him, but he picked up the ball and threw a runner out trying to stretch that double into a triple. So that was pretty entertaining to see his arm strength as well. As of now, Cody Clemens' WAR for the season is higher than Ryan Jeffers, higher than Trevor Larnach, who both two guys who have played way more games than Cody Clemens has as a Twin. So it's been pretty interesting to watch this phenomenon. I'm curious to see if he can stick around once the Twins get fully healthy. If he continues to hit, though, I can't see how the Twins can't keep him on the roster.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. This is a team, when healthy, if that ever happens, is going to have a surplus of position players, and Clemens adds another one of intrigue. I don't know what to expect from him. If all he ever does for the Twins is have the 2-week stretch he just had, he will deserve a playoff share. But, the thing is, you like the way he plays the game. There are people come up and they have one skill, or they can hit the ball hard, and they the league figures them out. And you never hear from them again. What I like about Clemens is he can hit the ball hard. He had a beautiful at bat on Wednesday where he took an outside pitch and hit it down the third baseline, because the third baseline and was playing way off it was a beautiful piece of hitting. It's old school, hit it where they ain't type stuff. He can play around the field. He's composed. He takes good at bats. I don't know what his high end is, but at the very least, he's a very useful player. And that's exactly what they've needed during this stretch.
Yeah. Rocco loves flexible players. I mean, his dream would be to have like 5 Willie Castros on the roster. But Clemens could play first and second in addition to right field. But he's got value. And right now, this team still needs every bat it can find, and he's providing that.
So the Twins have righted themselves. And here's the thing. I think where they are today is kind of where I expect them to be in terms of win-loss record and being highly competitive in a very difficult division. It's just that they got there in a bizarre way. And I don't know why this team has trouble getting out of the gate. I don't know why they struggle early. But for them to survive it and to have the run they just had, and now, because let's face it, now there's real promise. I mean, they're in good shape right now. The pitching has been phenomenal. I think going into the weekend, they're 24-3 when they score 4 runs or more. That's the entire story of the season. And they are about, I say this with all trepidation, they are about to get healthy. So why don't you give us an update on what you're hearing on the injury front for the team?
Yeah. I agree with all that. It's been pretty remarkable to see how sudden the turnaround's been. It shows you what happens once they get just a little bit of offense. And they've been winning games with guys banged up. And it looks like they're slowly getting back to health. Matt Wallner has been cleared to begin a rehab assignment. He actually would have played yesterday. We're taping on Thursday. He would have played Wednesday for St. Paul, but the game was rained out. Big surprise for this region. I know a rained out game. But he is back in line and with a path to returning to the lineup. Carlos Correa is moving around good after dealing with concussion symptoms. He looks like he may get in a position where he can start doing more on-field activities, hit with the team, run the bases and things like that, which he has to do before he can get cleared to return from the injured list. The one that may take a while is Byron Buxton. You keep forgetting about this. Buck does have a history with concussions. In addition to one he just had now, I believe he had what was considered to be a concussion in 2020 when he couldn't play in that last playoff game against the Houston Astros. He also had a concussion. He also had migraine problems. I want to say in 2018 when the Twins played Cleveland in Puerto Rico, and then even goes back to the minors where he collided in the outfield with Mike Bosnicka in Double-A, ended up having to go to the hospital and being taken there in the ambulance. Terry Ryan happened to be at that game and actually rode to the hospital with Buck in the ambulance. So when you have multiple concussions, when you start stacking those, each successive concussion can be worse than the previous one, and it can take longer to recover. So Buck may be out. He definitely will be out longer than Correa. We just don't know how long. These things are on their own time frame as far as him being able to clear protocols and everything. So Buck is still out kind of indefinitely. And Luke Keechel is his forearm is healing as expected. But he's still going to be out at least another month or a month or two as he recovers from a broken bone in the body. So, but still, they're getting closer to being healthy, and it's going to be very interesting once everybody's on deck.
Yes, I really think there is the potential for this being a high-end offensive team, and if it becomes a high-end offensive team, and they've already been winning pretty much solely on pitching, I mean, you could see something special, and you could see just a hellacious race in this division because Detroit, I don't know, I don't think Detroit's going to play at this pace all year, but Detroit's legit. They're good, and they're going to be hanging around. I think the Royals are legit. I think the Guardians are legit. This could be a crazy 4-team race.
No, it could definitely be. I like a lot of what I see from Detroit because Tariq Skubal's at the front of that rotation. They got some other good starters behind him. They got a solid bullpen, and that lineup, man. The revival of Spencer Torkelson as a quality hitter has really helped that daily lineup, man. And and AJ Hinch is a good coach. I'm a good manager. He proved it in Houston. Even before the trash cans. and he's got the Tigers playing good ball. And the Royals are in town this weekend. They're no pushover. And Bobby Witt, is going to be a pain in the Twin sides for years to come. And we just, the Twins should split 2 games with Cleveland, with the third game being postponed until September. Yeah, and that could be interesting. So now, because of the game that was rained out this week, there's a doubleheader scheduled for September 20th. That could be a really meaty doubleheader in terms of where the playoff race is at by that time of the year. So, and I agree with you, Jim. I thought this offense had a chance to be very good. It was 10th in the league in runs scored last year, and that also was with our early season offensive drought. Hopefully, this is they're done with their drought this year. They can stretch together some games where they can have consistent at bats. And as you pointed out, once you get the 4 runs, this team is tough to beat. So, I thought a lot of characters from last year were back. I was touting this offense at spring training. It has not been what I expected, but I still think there's potential there. The key is going to be Buxton coming back when he does come back to resume, the fine offensive season he was having. And hopefully Wallner could get back in the lineup with a bat that's not cold. Sometimes they call up these hitters when they're physically healthy, but when their swing is not healthy, and it takes a while. We're seeing that with Royce Lewis, and that's another X factor. Royce Lewis, who probably is the best option to be a 3rd or 4th place hitter in this lineup, is just starting to come around at the plate. That could have some significant ramifications. So I'm very curious to see how the offense is going to evolve from this point going forward.
By the way, I was right about this team being a good team. I thought they were a good team all along. They are playing like one now. I see them continuing that. I was wrong that I thought that they absolutely needed Royce Lewis healthy and playing well to win. They had a 13-game winning streak with Royce Lewis contributing either, being out or contributing almost nothing. I think that's a great sign that they won without the guy I think is their most irreplaceable player. And Royce he's coming around. He's still swinging too much out of the strike zone. He's still swinging at too many pitchers' pitches. I think once he settles down and gets back taking quality at bats, the ball's just going to leave the park pretty regularly.
Yeah, I agree. I think he should have had a home run in Milwaukee, but got robbed by Churiel. That probably would have done a lot for him as well. So I'm just curious to see how Royce is going forward. But it's been interesting with Cody Clemens getting run from Jonah Bride. Just some people that weren't even in the organization at the beginning of the year. For them to be where they're at is rather remarkable. And it's a reflection of how strong that pitching staff from the first starter to the last reliever is.
No doubt. Let's get more into that. My next guy I want to talk about is McCusker, whether he's a legitimate prospect or just guy getting a cup of coffee. First, though, I want to let you know that I'm drinking a lot of Giggly, Gigli. Go to gigli.com. Use a promo code GigglyNorth to get 50% off your first order. If you get on their radar, they will also send you other coupons if you want to save money while eating it. But whatever you spend on this stuff, it's worth it. I love the fact that I can drink something that tastes like a cocktail, have no hangover, have no sluggishness, lose no sleep. It's just a great thing to have at night. It kind of eases you into the evening, eases you into sleep, and you wake up feeling great. I love it. My wife likes the teas. I like the cocktails. We both like the seltzers. You can either get 10 milligrams of THC or 5. I tend to prefer the 5. If you really want to have a good time, go for the 10. Good thing is this is real fruit juice. It's all natural. It's nothing in there that's bad for you. You can find them every quick trip in Minnesota. You can find them at plenty of other places that you shop for liquor or other things. And again, the easiest thing to do is order it on the website and they will deliver it to you. Highly recommend it. Low calorie, healthy, great tasting. I don't know what there is not to like about it. Also, need to ask you, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that? Or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs. That's where Onyx Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. All right, so what's your take on McCusker? Is this a guy who's fighting for a roster spot, or is this a guy just who's filling in?
It's hard to say, Jim. Until I get to see consistent at-bats appear, it's hard for me to project that. I will say this. He's been a very interesting story, and he's definitely a late bloomer. Big, strong, powerful guy. Yes, the 6'8" frame is very impressive looking, but he really didn't know how to get the most out of that power into his swing. It's taken him a few years to figure it out. And he is starting to show that in the minor leagues. And his exit velocity numbers have been very, very impressive the last couple of years. He was signed by former Twin scout Billy Milos, who I still think should be with the organization, but the Twins moved on from him a couple of years ago. But Milo signed Randy Dobnak. He signed McCusker. He signed 2 or 3 other guys in the organization. They're all at AAA right now, knocking on the door. So it tells you the eye for talent that man had. But McCusker played for Pete Caviglia in independent ball before he was signed. So it's an interesting story. It's a great story. I want to see him hit. I can't sit here and say he's the real deal. He's made himself a prospect. Let's just say that. He definitely has made himself a prospect. Kudos to him for figuring some things out. And once again, it proves that the path to the majors is not the same for everyone. Sometimes guys have to take a circuitous route to get there, and that's what McCusker has done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, the bat speed is real. And I remember when Marty Cordova was a struggling minor league player and looked like he had no idea what he was doing. And, he's just hitting nothing. And he had all kinds of other issues they were concerned with. And I talked to a scout one year. I said, why do you hold on to a guy who just can't hit? He said, you don't give up on bat speed. if you have bat speed, you have the potential for doing damage and hitting the ball over the fence and having a high OPS and being very valuable. So you got bat speed, you got a chance.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. And it also shows you how the Twins have been hit by injuries for them to have to reach down and give McCusker a chance here. That's what the first couple months of the season has been for them. So he's a right fielder. He has a solid arm. Nice, pleasant fellow. Not very loquacious, but pleasant, if that makes any sense.
Oh, that's fine. We don't need everybody to be a media star. When you're a young beat writer, you want everybody to be a great quote. You want everybody to fill up your notebook. You get older and you're like, no, I'll take just a nice guy who isn't a pain in the butt. I'll take a clubhouse full of those guys. You want at least one guy who's interesting. Royce is kind of that guy. He's the fascinating magnetic personality in that clubhouse. I like him a lot. I love the way he handles himself. I really want him to have a great career for his own sake, but also for our sake, because he's a great guy to talk to. But you don't need 25, 26 Royce Lewis's. You just need a couple of them.
That's true. That's true. We were blessed in the beginning of the 2000s with the Soul Patrol and the Pole Patrol and League of Nations. Everybody pretty much was a good quote. Everybody had a funny story, and everybody enjoyed making everybody else squirm in the clubhouse. That was just a perfect storm of personalities on that team. But yeah, you just want people who can articulate the game like Carlos Correa. You want the funny guys, engaging guys who have the great personalities like Royce Lewis. I could use the clubhouse could use some more humor.
Yes, it could.
You could never have enough humor. The practical jokes used to be a thing. I don't see too many good practical jokes anymore in the clubhouse. I don't know if that's because, social media and there being so many media members around, it's kind of hard for people to totally let loose. But that's the one thing I wish I could see more of in today's clubhouses.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Everybody's too professional now. And let's face it, we benefited from some unprofessional working environments, and that ain't going to happen again in a $100 billion industry, whatever this has become. All right, I want to ask you about Zebby and Paddock, and France, and whether the Pollads might actually be willing to add the payroll if this team looks like it's on the cusp. We'll also talk. I just want a musical thought recommendation. Anything, just something from the world of music for our Booze and Blues segment. And then I want to throw out a guitar name that people might not be familiar with. Right now, though, I want you to hear from Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
The longer we work with Minnesota Masonic Charities, the more I hear people telling me what a great company it is, just how much good they do for Minnesotans, for people, for children. So here's more about Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And here's Talk North Star John Krasinski for True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I've been telling you about it for months now. Just a life-changing experience for me to go to True Vision and have LASIK surgery this summer. Everything is easier for me after having LASIK surgery. I don't have the hassles of contacts and eyeglasses. I don't have to worry about going in for annual appointments to get the eyes checked, and also to make sure that I have the latest and greatest style of glasses, and I'm not looking like some washed up 46-year-old like I am, trying to stay ahead of the trends. I don't have that anymore. I'm just going around free and clear without anything on my face. And that's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. When you go into True Vision, you will immediately notice how welcoming, how warm, how friendly, and how knowledgeable the staff is there. They get you in, they get you checked out, they find the right vision correction options for you. And then Dr. Chu is just world class in how he helps you through the procedure, how he makes sure that he gets you taken care of, and like he did with me. And I've had zero issues with my vision since I had the surgery in July. And I just keep kicking myself and wishing I would have done it 10 years ago. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you, and get on with your life. Make it easier on yourself, and just get to the point where you can kick your own self in the butt and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
All right. So why is Paddock pitching so much better than he did his first couple of starts?
Well, what was the knock on Chris? That he loved his changeup too much, right?
Yep.
That he would throw it so much that it ended up not being as effective as it could be. And I think he's found a happy medium in terms of frequency and percentage of usage and when he uses that pit. His fastball is solid, 93 touches 94. He's picking the right spots and ways to utilize that changeup. I think it's really helped him. He's been around the plate. The only time it looked shaky was, because of the rain, I would imagine that he missed the plate and walked the bases loaded against Cleveland in that second game on Wednesday. But other than that, he has thrown a lot of strikes, and I think he's found something with the changeup usage that's given him a better chance to be successful. And it hasn't just been good. I mean, it's been great at times. I mean, like one hitters, no hitting teams for multiple innings, having stretches of consecutive retired batters. There's been stretches of dominance. I didn't see that. I thought Paddock would be the first person out of the rotation this year, and that it would be David Festa time or Zebby Matthews time or even Andrew Morris time. But as Simeon Woods Richardson ended up being the first guy out of the rotation after struggling for a bit, and Paddock has stayed. So that's a big development, because now you go from having a solid 3 to a reliable 4. That definitely gets you through series. That helps you avoid slumps, and helps you go 5-2 each week.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think the fan base wanted him gone right away. And you just, just a reminder, everything you see in Minnesota sports, whether it's O'Connell coming off a bad year, or whether it's Chris Finch having to take time to kind of figure out how to get Julius Randle incorporated, patience is so often the answer. And if they'd cut Paddock after a couple of starts, and then Simeon Woods Richardson had gone south, then they would have had to reach down, and David Festa's been dealing with some arm fatigue. They would have had to call up somebody they really didn't want in the majors. They don't have the winning streak, so you got to give these guys a chance. Their patience was rewarded in this regard. Zebby had a relatively disappointing debut, for a guy with composure. I just didn't like the fact that he walked people. I don't mind him getting hit because I think his stuff is good enough that it's going to win out in the long run. I just didn't like him coming up, a guy known for control and command, coming up and walking people.
That's interesting you brought that up. The thing I noticed, especially in his last inning, he was throwing mainly fastballs. I didn't see sinkers. I didn't see slider or sweepers or changeups. He was just throwing fastball after fastball. So I'm wondering if he did not trust the command of his other pitches, or he didn't think the quality was there with those other pitches and was trying to get by on 1 or 2 pitches. And maybe that made things difficult for him. So when I saw that, I was willing to just kind of throw that outing in the trash and see how he looks the second time out. So that's why I'm curious to see if he gets a second shot here, how he's going to look. Because I don't think we saw the real Sevy Matthews in that Milwaukee start.
I agree with you, and I expect more. I think he's going to be really good. Last baseball topic, then we'll get to booze and blues.
I got a bonus baseball topic, too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you think – actually, I'm going to save this topic for next week. And the question will be, who do you think is the Twins' regular first baseman at the end of the season? Ty France, somebody within the organization who they need to find a spot for, or do they go out and actually get somebody? So that is going to be one of the big topics next week, and we'll probably have Roy on to discuss that with as well. What's your last baseball topic?
Last baseball topic is actually a happy update. I was just texting with a Twins official while we were taping this because I heard about this yesterday at the ballpark and needed to verify. As we know, both Ken Herbick and Tony Oliva had strokes within like a week of each other about a month ago. It was really disheartening to hear because I just saw Tony like a couple months before that, and I saw Herbick opening day. He was at the ballpark opening day, being Herbie, being the big gregarious, big lug of a guy that he is, and then to hear that both of them had strokes is really, really tough to take. But they both have recovered. I think Tony's on a walker. I think Herbick needs a walker a little bit too. Tony's got a cane. Herbie has a walker available if he needs it. I know Tim Laudner took Herbick out to dinner recently, so they're starting to get out and about. But on Saturday, the Twins are actually having a stroke awareness deal before the Saturday game against Kansas City. And both Herbick and Tony Oliva will be at the ballpark for that little segment that they're having. So the fact that they're out and about now and are able to go out and be out in public and are comfortable being out in the public is very encouraging. So hope they continue to recover. And I hope we get to see more of them at the ballpark. But they will be at the ballpark briefly on Saturday before the Royals game.
That's fantastic. Great update. Great way to end the baseball portion of the show. They're two of the great ambassadors in Twins history, both wonderful people. So I'm so happy to hear that they're doing better. And I'm sure Roy will be happy to hear that update as well. All right. So another future topic. Most underrated bands in history. Start fulminating on that. We will get that in a future show. For today, we're going to keep it very random. I'm going to offer a guitarist's name that you might be familiar with, but you not know that you're familiar with. And then LaVelle can bring up anything from the world of music he likes. The name Shane Fontaine. Shane Fontaine. Who is Shane Fontaine? Well, if you watched Heart play Stairway to Heaven for Led Zeppelin at one of those, I think it was the Kennedy Awards or whatever it was. So there's Jimmy Page and Robert Plant sitting in the upper balcony watching Heart do an epic version of Stairway to Heaven. The guitarist playing a Les Paul. Oh, it's fantastic. You gotta go find it on YouTube. It's fantastic.
Wow.
And Hart just nails it as well. The Wilson sisters. So, but for the lead, they had Shane Fontaine playing the lead, and he nailed it, of course, playing the Les Paul. Who is Shane Fontaine? He was in the band Lone Justice from way back when, a really cool band. And then he ended up playing with Mark Cohn. He ended up playing with a lot of people. He was kind of just a great guitarist you could hire on for your gig, for your tour, for the session, whatever. He also, when Springsteen dissolved the E Street Band and formed another band and toured with it, Shane Fontaine became his lead guitarist. And if you ever watch any of the old concerts or watch the old MTV Unplugged, where Springsteen actually stayed plugged in, watch Shane Fontaine play guitar. Phenomenal performer, phenomenal guitarist. And now you know who Shane Fontaine is. What's your booze and blues contribution, LaVelle?
Well, this week is a very interesting week. It's going to take us all back to the day. I actually saw this person perform at Prince's old nightclub years and years ago, and it seemed like he was an old fart then. He's even more of an old fart now. But his songs have been the anthems for different people's and folks' childhoods for decades here. He is known for jams as like Atomic Dog, Flashlight, and Give Up the Funk. George Clinton's in town this week, ladies and gentlemen.
That's fantastic.
He's playing at the Uptown Theater. He's 83, and he's still on tour, spreading his funk around the country, which I think is just outstanding. Now, a lot of the original members have moved on, but their children have filled in for them as part of the band. So it's not about nepotism. It's about making sure that the religion of the funk is being spoken in as many restaurants and clubs as possible. So George Clinton is in Minneapolis this week.
What was the name of the Broadway show that became very popular? Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. Remember that?
Yes.
I saw that on Broadway way back when. And it has nothing to do with George Clinton. I love George Clinton. It's completely separate, but it just, the words brought up that memory. That was an amazing show.
Wow. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So
I think that was one of the benefits. That was one of the benefits the old day of being a baseball writer. You'd find yourself up with a Monday night off or a Thursday night off in New York and just go out to a Broadway show.
You still hear an occasional Parliament Funkadelic song at a baseball stadium.
Yeah, and some of the stations I listen to, sometimes I still hear a George Clinton hit as well. All right, great pull, great contribution. We will get Roy back next week, and we'll go into the most underrated advance in history. We'll also ask who's going to be playing first base at the end of the season. For today, thanks to LaVelle. Thanks to everyone who listens. Thanks to our Talk North producers. We will talk to you next week.